name.
Hmm.
And I choose a color. It's going to be red. This is now the color for classroom. So everything that's connected to classroom, I'm going to add to the group. Click on the tab, add tab to group, classroom. Oh, there's another one. Add tab to classroom. This is something different. New group. And I'm going to call it homework. I have to check. Make that blue. Enter. So everything that has to do with homework that I have to check, I'm going to add to the homework. Oh, now I have a different tab. New group.
Didn't know I could do it that fast, huh?
Hmm.
Now I can organize it. I can click on the tab and it closes and that closes and that closes and that closes. And I can have only the group that I want to work on is open. And then I can close it when I want to move to working with homework. Oops, now all my workbook tabs. And close it. And oops, classwork. And oops, you got it. Isn't that easier to look at? Don't forget to subscribe.
Okay.
So that's it. And actually, in the meantime, since then, they've also added another thing that's called add tab to reading list.
Oh, sorry, Adele, I accidentally muted you now because I muted everyone. Can you unmute yourself again?
So
Yeah.
the thing that I've said has, so anyway, that's not what I was going to show, but I will start with what I was going to show. And I will first, let me grab what I'm going to show and I will introduce myself. Okay, so can you all see my Choiceboards and Google Classroom screen? Okay, so my name is Adele Raemer, and I am an EFL teacher in Israel, and a friend and colleague of Leo's, which is it's his fault that I'm here. Blame Leo. I've been an EFL teacher in the same regional school for 40 years. I can't believe it. I'm a regional and national teacher trainer in EFL and digital pedagogy, and I've been doing that for about 15 years. And I'm so happy to be here. So first of all, I'm going to start a poll. Oh, hang on, got to get back to my Zoom tools. I'm going to just open up a poll and ask you to vote in this poll so I can have an idea of who's with me here. So 1, have you ever used a Choiceboard? And 2, do you use Classroom? So that I know where to put my emphasis. Okay, so, oh, 5, oh, okay. Okay, I got the idea. So nobody has ever used the Choiceboard, and a few of you, 7 of you, use Google Classroom, and 2 of you use Google Classroom and 7 of you don't. So I will put my emphasis. I'm going to end the polling. That's enough information for me to know what we want here. So the original idea for this talk was when Leo told me about this roundtable thing. He said, people just get on and talk about stuff, and so I tried to think of something that I've been grappling with, and something that an issue that I had been grappling with was, how do I incorporate Choiceboards integrally into Google Classroom? So what I'm also going to ask you to do before I start doing that, I'm going to ask you to scan this barcode or go into menti.com and use the code here and answer the questions that are in the Menti. And we'll get back to those towards the end of my talk. So when I was talking to Heike, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Heike? When I was talking to her preliminarily about this, I realized that not everybody knows what a choice board is. So that's why I took a step back and I prepared part of the presentation about choice boards, and I'm so glad I did. So choice boards are graphic organizers that comprise different amounts of squares or areas. Each square is an activity, and the activities help students learn or practice a primary concept while allowing them a choice. And students can be instructed to choose one or more of these activities to complete. I took this from a link that you'll get here at the end when you get my slides. It's about how to use choice boards in the classroom, and it's all about differentiating learning. So this isn't a choice boards isn't a tool that like you can buy or something, as much as it's a pedagogy. It's a pedagogy that you can use to enable student differentiation, to encourage students' engagement. You can include in a choice board a variety of learning styles and learner levels. It stimulates motivation when your students get to choose what they want to do, more so than saying, okay, class, we're here today and we're all working on this. And what if Moshe Pipik says, but I already know that. I do that really well. I don't need to practice that. I don't need to do that. So when you have a choice board, you can offer him a choice of what he needs to work on, to improve in. Choice boards can be either with free choice or limited choice. It could be all about one skill, and I'll show you one of those that I do for writing, or it can include a variety of different skills that you say maybe different students in my class are going to want to focus on working on different skills today. And it can be physical or it could be on the wall. Focus, Adele, rewind. Okay, it can be either physical or it could be digital. So what I'm showing you here is a physical choice board that you could put on a wall, or you could print out pages and maybe laminate them or not and give them to different students. To all of these, like you would give out writing activities choice board to all your students one day and say, guys, we're working on writing today, choose what you want to write about. And it can be that they have a limited choice. They can choose one or two or as many as they have time for, or you can say, this is a tic-tac-toe choice board, and you have to say, choose the one in the middle and choose two on the side. So this one was created by Casey Bell, who was Ms. Shake Up Learning, and she's wonderful. If you don't follow her, I recommend you do. So that's a tic-tac-toe board. Again, it could be physical on the wall, on a piece of paper, or it could be digital. Digital can be like with little postums, or this one, these are all made on Google Slides actually, or it can be a Bitmoji scene, which has gotten really hot this past year, especially in the different learning environments. I'm just going to peek at my chat because I see people have written stuff here. And the Menti code again. Oops, sorry. There's the Menti code 53524098. I'll write that here to everybody. 53524098. So now it's in the chat if you've missed it. And I think that's all that we're missing. Okay, so I am going to move ahead. So as I said, you can have different types of choice boards, digital or physical. But my challenge here that I wanted to talk about is incorporating Google incorporating these choice boards into Google Classroom. And the reason why I want to do that, the benefit to incorporating it if you're working in Google Classroom is, first of all, the delivery, that all the students are in Google Classroom and it's easy for them to access. It's also easy for me to follow up their progress. If I do it using a Google Doc that I've put into the choice board, and I'll show you a sample of that, I can actually go in live through Google Classroom and see them as they are writing, as they are working. So I'm talking, of course, when we're working on Zoom and we're not all in the same room. When you're all in the same room, you can walk around the classroom and see what the different students are doing. But when you're on Zoom, you've got kids in breakout rooms or little black boxes, and go know what they're doing. This enables me to go in and see what they're doing. It's also easier for submission, because when they submit it in Google Classroom, it keeps track of it for me. So I know exactly who has finished working and who has submitted and who has not yet. The problem is that Google Classroom is not intrinsically built for choice boards. So I'm going to go back, since I'm going to go into a few of the choice boards so that you could see what they're like. This one was my first attempt at a choice board, and I actually used my Google site in order to do it, and Google Forms to follow up. Are you still, can you see my screen with the Google Choice Board website?
Yes, we can.
Great. Okay, so this is the first choice board that I made, and I gave a whole bunch of external links here. And in order to do a follow-up, I added a Google form. So for example, this one is sending them to the British Council, and they have to do the work here on the British Council site. It's, again, external links. And once they finished, they went into the form and filled out the form, so I can know what they worked on and keep track of what they were working on. So I can see exactly, they mark exactly what they did in the choice board, and then I can go back and check out what that was. The other option that I did, the second, the advantage of doing it as part of the website was that it could also be easily used in the face-to-face classroom, which is how I actually did use it. The kids were in the classroom and they were able to, all of the things they did here, they were able to do on their mobiles or on their laptops. The drawback was that it didn't lead directly back into classroom, although it could have. And I didn't know how to do that at the time. I can show you how to do that afterwards as well. The second workaround that I did was making a choice board that looks like this out of, oops. Okay, I'm sharing the wrong screen. Do you see now where it says choice boards and Google Classroom, or do I have to do a reshare?
Perhaps if you could reshare.
I will do a reshare. Okay, so I'll go back through here and it will let me go in. So this is what, this was incorporated into Google Classroom, and they go into their choice board. This was a connector choice board, and all of the activities here was to have them learning about connectors. And I gave the instructions on the first slide. And because the links were external, I told them to upload a screenshot of their results. The green and purple ones and the pink ones are sent to me directly. So this is another layout for choice boards. This is within Google Slides, but it leads to external sites. So this linked to ESL Lounge, and they did their, whatever they did. and they get their answers marked. They would take a screenshot and show that to me in Google Classroom. They would have to upload it here to Google Classroom. So that was my second workaround. The advantage of this is that it started getting most of the results into Google Classroom directly, but the drawbacks were that not all students were proficient in opening a new Google Doc, because in order to do this, this is my student view, they had to open up a new Google Doc. Oh, they didn't actually, they were able to put it in here. So they put their results in here, they pasted the link in here, and they turned that in. And once they turned it in, I, as a teacher, got notification that they turned in their work. So that worked really well. The third thing that I did was link directly into a Google Classroom template. And this is another type of choice board. And I was able to, in Google Classroom, you can incorporate rubrics, which are cool to use, because this is a writing choice board. And the writing choice board looked like this. And they could choose what topic they wanted to write on. And once they chose their topic, I gave them some guidelines and some useful phrases, and then they went back and opened up the template, wrote their composition in here, their essay in here, and that was really convenient. So this is the way I've found of incorporating choice boards in order to put it easily into a classroom assignment. For those of you who do have Classroom, might not know this, next to every assignment, you have these 3 dots, and you can copy the link. And once you share the link with them, it takes them not only into the Google Classroom, but exactly into the spot where you're supposed to be in Google Classroom. So I've sort of basically finished what I was going to show. And I'm going to see if we have any responses in. Okay, no. Okay, nothing here then. Does any? I'll just leave the last few minutes in case anybody has a question. I'm not going to stop sharing yet in case somebody wants to show me. In case somebody has a question about one of the specific choice boards and they want me to show it. So does anybody have any questions? Did I run through that too quickly? This should have been only about.
Can I just ask a question? The expression choice board, is that something that you've invented, or is it actually a regular expression?
Absolutely. I cannot take any credit for inventing it. It is a thing. It was a thing before COVID. It was used it was more prevalent, I think, in special education maybe. But it is certainly something that should be in every classroom, because you want to be able to differentiate learning. And they're super easy to make, especially with a template. So you can get a template. I can share with anybody. I can add a template, a link to a template here if you want to. I'll share these links. I'll actually share the link to these files, to this Google slideshow. I'm going to go back to slide 1 and I will share. No, what I want to do is I want to share a choice board. So I'm going to take this choice board that looks like that. Okay. And I'm going to share it in the chat with everybody here, and you can just grab that, and that will be a template for you. I'll have to do it afterwards. I'll add it to the slides afterwards, okay? Because I want to make it into something that you can turn into a template. So I'll just share the choice board with you. And when you go in later on in the choice board on the last page, I'll put a choice board template. Okay?
Can I ask another question? Adele, you're so confident with explaining these things. Is that because of your YouTube channel with the quickies, or is that just sort of a passion of yours?
I guess so. Well, first of all, I'm a teacher. And so I'm used to explaining things. And second of all, yeah, I've had this YouTube channel for the past, since 2017. And I'm used to making tutorials. So I also included here, when you get the link, are the tutorials that I make for my students after every lesson on Zoom. I make a tutorial recording the screen, showing where my students have to go. So I'm used to, videos is a medium that I'm very comfortable with and used to using.
And would you tell us what you use to share, record your screen or maybe edit?
So for these, for the short ones that I do for my students, I use a program that's called, it's Screencastify. And it's free. It's a Google, it's up here. Can you see my screen? It's a Google extension. And you record, and then you can upload to YouTube or Drive and change the visibility and make it public. My tutorials I make with a program called Camtasia, which I pay for, and it's got editing. It's a robust editing tool.
And Leo's just been saying that it's Screencastify is up to 5 minutes free. That's wonderful.
You really shouldn't make tutorials that are, especially with students, that are longer than that. Short is good, actually, but there are other ones that are, yes, Snagit, but also somebody wrote here, there's a bunch of tools that record. I could have given a session on that, but there's Screencastify, Screencast-O-Matic. Some of them give a little bit longer. I think Screencast-O-Matic, I think, gives you 15 minutes. But when you're making tutorials, that's why I started making quickies rather than short tutorials, really. Because quickies I try and make under 2 minutes. And it's really the best way to go. So
and here's your invitation for the next time. Thank you so much, Adele.
You're welcome. Will I be able to, Heike, will you be able to send everybody the link to the slides and to the template?
Well, I would love to do them and put them into the Google Docs, into the main program, if that's okay. Or
Sure.
did you want to restrict it to the audience here?
No, I don't mind. I'll put it into the main program. That's great.
That would be wonderful. You still have editing rights, I think, on that. Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
As I have editing rights, I'll put everything there. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to my channel.
We will subscribe for sure.
Bye-bye.